Well, every month we do a segment with LG&E, and this month was no exception. Every time we get together, as you always say, we get some great information. So take a look at this piece. We're here with Natasha Collins of LG&E for another Energy Matters segment, and we are rolling into what, November?
Almost.
Change of the seasons, all of these things are happening, and normally at this point in time, we would be over at Project Warm talking about getting ready for that change in season.
That's right. We know that we're moving into that colder season, and we know the best way to weather the cold is to weatherize our homes. So it's great that you mentioned Project Warm because we're all gearing up for the 29th Project Warm Blitz. So hundreds of volunteers from our company, but also from the community with local churches and schools and other organizations getting ready to volunteer so that we can assist some of the most vulnerable populations in our community with their weatherization. So making sure that they can stay comfortable as things get colder and making sure that maybe they can even, with some of the weatherization, save a little on their energy bills as well.
It's just commendable, the work that you all do in the community. And 29 years, that's really a testament to you all's commitment to the community.
Yeah, Project Warm was a big partner of ours. It was actually an employee of ours that helped to found the organization, or at least was part of the organization when they got founded. So always has a close place in our heart, of course, but we want to make sure that all of our customers are taken care of during the colder season. And so weatherization and efforts like this that combine, our efforts with those in our community is really critical in making that happen.
All right, and speaking of making it happen, you've got some great stuff here. I love it when you have gadgets. So we've got some things. So tell us what we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah, we have some props here, and these aren't unlike what we talk about when we have, the Blitz, because a lot of what we do with the Blitz involves some of these purple items that you see down here, the foam rope, and also some of this kind of puttyish tape, because what you want to do when you start thinking about the colder season is you want to start sealing up some of the leaks and gaps in your home. So you want to check and see if you have any leaks, and one of the ways you can do that, they say a dollar bill test on your window. So if you put a dollar bill under your window, you close it. If you can pull it out, then that means you likely have a leak. So that's when you start looking for items like this, some of this putty type material, some of the foam rope and other things, because you want to make sure you seal up any of those leaks in your homes. Typically, the main areas are around windows, around doors, also the ductwork. And so if we can seal that up, it's just as effective in the winter for keeping the cold out as it is for in the summer and keeping the cool air in, right? So
that's what I was just going to say. So this is good really year round.
Perfect that you mentioned that. And I think we've talked about that before, but especially when we think about Project Warm or we think about just weatherization, we always think about it in the winter because we're going to be uncomfortable if it's cold. But these are things that year-round can help to make sure that your system and your home is being efficient. So you want to make sure that you're keeping the cool air out in the winter, but also that in the summertime or when you're still using your air, if somebody is, that you're keeping that cool air inside and it's not leaking out of your home. So yeah.
And so some of the other things that you have here.
Yeah, one of the other basic things, it looks so simple, right? But the plastic, the scissors, and the tape, that's a big part of the work we do when we go out for Blitz, is that we are sealing up areas around windows. And so you can do that with just some simple plastic, some tape, and making sure that you cut that plastic to the size of the window, just maybe a little bit wider so that you can tape it down. And again, you can use that same trick in the heat too, but that's a big part of what we do when we weatherize the homes for Blitz.
Okay, and I've got to ask you one question. Does the plastic go on the outside or inside? I've heard both.
Right, it goes on the inside. That's where we always do that. And again, just kind of measuring out, whether you want to do that with an actual piece of measuring tape or just, holding up your plastic to the window, seeing where you need to cut. It doesn't have to be rocket science, right?
Okay.
Like all of this, it should be pretty simple for people to try and do, but just holding up the plastic, seeing how big the window is, making the cut and taping it down.
And then I see you have an air filter, and probably changing these on a regular basis is where you're headed. Something that I just don't seem to do so well, but that's where Denise comes in.
Yeah, but you are learning things as we continue these segments, so that's awesome. Wanted to have some of just the basic tools that we have. So we talk about weatherization, but then there's just things that are good practice, right? So we're getting into the colder season. We should be changing our furnace filter year-round, either monthly or according to the manufacturer's instructions. But this is a good time when we're trying to think of all these other things we needed to do to get ready for the season. A good time to remember to change your furnace filter. One of the ways that I always recommend you keep track is just take a pencil, write on the filter the date that you changed it. So even if it's been a long time, no one is judging. You can see when the last time it was that you changed it, and you know that you need to. But even in the news recently, some fire fire departments have been talking about furnace fires and things like that. I can't speak to that, but I think one thing that makes sure that we're all in safe condition and that our systems can work efficiently is making sure that not just we've changed the furnace filter, but that we've had it checked out by a certified professional so we know that our systems are working as efficiently as possible.
Very good. And then you have this new, looks like, what is this? A new thermostat. So
yeah, this one is a thermostat. I mean,
Okay.
but it's just generally, and a few more tips in addition to this one. But this one is just generally to remind us that if you have a programmable thermostat, just remember that you can just be efficient in your energy use with regard to thinking about the schedules of everyone in your home and making sure that you are adjusting whatever your program is accordingly. So you don't need to be heating an empty house necessarily, or at least not to the degree as warm as you would if somebody were home. So just make sure you're thinking about that. And so if nobody's home, maybe spare a few degrees, which is going to save you. But then when you're home, you can turn it up a couple of notches, have the program change. But some other tips on ways to, make sure that you're being efficient when you're thinking about how you program it. When you're home, you don't have to crank it up too high. You can always make sure that you're layering up, right? I got out my toasty socks this weekend. Wear those around the house. Make sure that you're doing things like simple things, opening up the blinds so that the sun can help to naturally heat your home. So those are simple things you can employ to make sure that you're getting the most out of your systems and making sure that your energy use is efficient because we want our bills to be as low as possible.
And it definitely helps from that perspective. So again, you always bring such great tips, and this is just great common sense information that everyone can use. And back to LG&E and you all being involved in the community, what are some other things you have that are coming up?
Well, I would say that the Project Warm Blitz, want to make sure everybody's thinking about that if you want to volunteer or you just want to reach out to Project Warm, because while we talk about Project Warm a lot during this season, Project Warm operates year-round, so their services are in place year-round. So if anybody wants to check out more information on Project Warm, it's projectwarm.org. Go to their website. You can see more of their contact information, but specific information on the Blitz, which is November 2nd and 9th, or also any of the other programs that they have as resources for folks in the community.
And if people have questions for you all, how can they reach you?
Yes, they can call us directly. Our number is 502-589-1444. One of our customer care representatives can make sure that your questions are answered.
Well, as always, great catching up, great information, and I am getting so much better since hanging out with you and Liz. I mean, I do all of these things now, kind of, but Denise is really, she's the rock in terms of getting these things done. She makes sure that that our house is comfortable year-round, and we're definitely winterized and summerized and all of the other in between.
Denise is great at putting together the honey-do list.
Yes.
She's perfectly capable herself, but we know that she's got your manpower.
Yes,
to make sure that all of this is implemented in your home.
Whether if you're a homeowner or an apartment owner, you need to make sure that you've got your home, auto, car, life insurance, all of those things covered. So, Ivy, what do you have for us this week?